Hello friends, and welcome to Riley's Library's opinions on popular Booktok books. I started on Booktok, so I thought this would be perfect for me to do. I actually have, now that I'm sitting down to film this, I'm going to change some of my star ratings from the ones I had on Goodreads, because looking back now, some of these books are not as good as when I originally read them. So I'm going to give you my current opinions on these books. The first book I want to talk about is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I gave this 3 stars. I'm going to stand by that. I also gave Wicked King and Queen of Nothing 4 stars. They are 10 times better than this book right here. I think my disappointment came from the fact that this is hyped up as an enemies to lovers romance book. Romance is a subplot of this book. It is more about like the politics of the fairy courts, and that's really what it's about. And Jude, who is our main character, she is a human living in this world, and kind of her navigating like the politics of fairyland. And so I just feel like it was portrayed to me on Booktok as something it wasn't, which is why I was disappointed with this book. If you want to go see it, I have a rant about this on my Booktok, but I rated it 3 stars. I would recommend reading it. Just don't go into it expecting romance, and you'll enjoy it. The other 2 are better, but The Cruel Prince did not live up to my expectations. The next book is 6 of Crows, 5-star read. I love this book, and it's on Booktok quite frequently, especially now that the TV show is out. Definitely read Shadow and Bone before you read these books. I 100% stand by that. Follows this group of teens on a heist, and that's all I'm really gonna say about this. It is really wonderful. I love the diverse group of characters that we have in this book. Kaz and Inej have my heart, okay? I love Nina. I love Jesper. This book was just really wonderful. I have the sprayed edges, as you can see, but I don't want to say too much about this just because like I really want everyone to read it if you haven't already, but I will say that this is one Booktok book that definitely I approve of. I love it, and it is completely worth it. Okay, the next book I originally rated 5 stars, but now looking back, I'm thinking 4 stars, because I still really loved it when I read it, and it is We Were Liars. If you want to read this book, pick it up this summer because it is such a beachy summer read. I will say, here's my problem with the book. The whole thing, okay, well, let me explain the plot first. Basically, it's about this girl who goes to her family, her rich family's island, and they stay there with her cousins and everything every summer. She can't remember what happened the last summer, and no one wants to tell her. They want her to figure it out on her own. So she's like trying to figure out like basically what happened the summer before, and it's just following her throughout that summer. And so the whole big hype about this book is that it's got this huge plot twist that you will never see it coming. Well, I predicted it pretty early on, like before they revealed it. I was like, yeah, I think this is what's gonna happen. And then it turned out that that's what happened. So it really didn't like give me this huge surprise. I don't think I could reread it ever at this point. A little bit of a disappointment. I originally rated it 5 stars, but I'm gonna give it 4 now looking back on it. The next one, I rated this 4 stars originally. I think now looking back, I would rate this 3.5 instead, and this book is They Both Die at the End. I know that may sound like a shock to some of you because everyone is obsessed with this book, but yes, I read it very quickly. I think that I rated it 4 stars because I was influenced by everyone else who loved it to rate it that way. Now looking back, I don't think I would have given it 4 stars, 3.5 probably, because I was disappointed in this book. Okay, it's fine. It was quick paced. I read it in like a day. I like the journey they go on, but also the like love aspect of it I feel like was a little too fast, but I also get that they're like running out of time. They both die at the end. So I don't know, I feel kind of conflicted about that. I will say I was very surprised at how the book ends. Like obviously you know how the book ends, but I was like, I didn't see it coming, I'll say that, but I didn't cry. And everyone talks about how this book broke them and made them sob, and I didn't. Please don't hate me for saying that. This is just my opinion, okay? it was still a good book, just wasn't the best for me. And now that I've read more books, I read this before I really started my Bookstagram, I don't think that it deserves the rating I originally gave it, because I tend to rate too high anyways. So I'm gonna go back to a 3.5 on this one. The next book, I gave 4.5 stars. I'm gonna stick with that. And that is Legendborn. Legendborn. I love this book. I would have given it 5 stars if not for 2 reasons. And the first reason being that I'm still slightly confused about how the like world building magic system works. So there's that. I'm still slightly confused. Also, I think that the love romance part of the story was too quick and it felt very rushed, like a tee-hee, I saw you and now we're in love. So it didn't really work for me. But I love how she brings in the legends of King Arthur, and we have this main character, Bree, who we follow. Basically, her mother dies and we follow her off to college, but she's still in high school. It's like early college. And here she stumbles upon this order, it's a secret society that kills demons, and they are connected to King Arthur and the Rounds Table, and she basically joins. And so it follows her journey through that, and also her learning about her mother and her mother's backstory. We also see root magic talked about in this book, which was really like nice to see. And just in general, the whole plot, everything was amazing. I love this book. I read it so quickly. If it had not been for those 2 things, I would have probably given it 5 stars. So if you're interested, you should be. You need to read this book. I think everyone should read this book. Also, we have dark-haired mystery boy who's angry. And we have blonde-haired golden boy. Both of them. Take your pick. If you like either of those types of boys, they're both in this book for you. So you should pick it up, and I think you'll love it. Next, I have Daughter of the Pirate King. It follows this girl who is the daughter of a pirate king. I gave this book 4 stars. I'm gonna stick with that because I read it in literally a day. It follows this main character who, you know, she's the daughter of a pirate king. She sets it up so she gets captured by her enemies, and on this boat she's searching for this piece to a treasure map, basically to get to like the Sirens Island where all this treasure is supposed to be, and she's doing this for her dad. And so that's like her whole thing, is she's trying to find this has enemies to lovers, one bed trope. I will say that the pace is kind of weird, like it is kind of fast paced, but not much happens, so that's why like it's definitely not a 5-star read. If anything, I would maybe bump it down to 3.5. But the second book is much better, like the plot is much better. But I have to say that I really like the main character in this book, and I really like her love interest as well. So I would give this still 4 stars, maybe 3.5. And I recommend you read this, especially if you like pirates and sirens and treasure. The banter in this, I will say chef's kiss. This has got really good banter if that's something you're into. So I would definitely pick up Daughter of the Pirate King if that's the kind of thing that you were into. Next, I have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. It is a 1920s Romeo and Juliet retelling in Shanghai. Amazing female protagonist. She is so strong and I love it. Obviously it's Romeo and Juliet retelling, but with a twist. They have this like mystery disease that's making people rip their throats out, and that is what had me hooked. I gave this 4 stars. I'm really excited about the next one. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's really good. The romance is good, and the whole like mystery of this disease is like the best as well. So I would recommend reading this, and I'm hoping not to have my heart broken by the next one. Next, I have Song of Achilles. Okay, I originally gave this 4 stars. I'm gonna bump it down to 3.5. I did not cry at this book. It's a retelling of the Trojan War with following Achilles and Patroclus and their relationship, and everyone cried at this book. I did not cry at this book. It was really good. I really enjoyed the retelling. I love Greek mythology, but I didn't cry. It didn't make me as emotional as everyone else did. But it is a really good book to see their relationship develop, and I recommend it. I think that for most people, they will really enjoy this book and probably be emotional, but I'm not as emotional anymore as I used to be, I guess. So I would still recommend this. And quickly, as my camera is about to die, I'm going to also talk about Cersei by Madeline Miller. I gave this 4 stars. I'm going to stick with that. I really like this book. Okay, it is much more slow paced, but I think that fits Cersei. It's a retelling of Cersei, and kind of like she's the one that was the sorceress in the Odyssey. It gives her backstory and her like growing up. I think the slow pace fits her slow life as she's isolated on this island, and it's just a really great story to watch her grow into the woman that she is, kind of by herself. Like, she doesn't need men or anyone else to really tell her who she is. She figures it out on her own, and it's a really beautiful story. It's just not as fast-paced as some people would like prefer, but I would still really recommend reading Cersei if you like Greek mythology. My camera is going to die, so I'm going to go very quickly, but I hope that you enjoyed my opinions on these Booktok books. Please don't get mad if my opinions are not the same as your opinions. Everyone can have different opinions on books. But let me know which ones of these you like and which ones of these you don't like. In the comments, I would love to hear more about your opinions on these books as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.